The new year is upon us. It's January 2023. The new year is here. And this is that time of the year where we make decisions and we make choices and we make resolutions about who we want to be more of, what we want to do more of, and what we want to do and be less of.
Right. Huge.
And then the ones that are like, humbug, I'm not making any, which is actually making a resolution to not change at all and to actually be and do the same thing in 2023. But there's this hope in the air. You can feel it. It's all over social media.
It's in the air.
It's this, there's a new calendar.
Yeah,
and we're
beautiful.
also hopeful. And I actually do love it to take the time to say, what do I want to do and be more of? 100%. So why is it that the overwhelming majority of people who decide something don't achieve it with just in a matter of weeks? Dwindles, fades, withers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, that is a curious question that we'd like to address, and we want to have some fun with this. So why is it that these old habits sneak back in? You know, we start having these new goals, these new dreams, and I think it's a wonderful thing that people set resolutions. But what's going on? What's going on in the brain? What's going on in the body that's embedded into the mind that's causing us to loop back into old patterns? So we're going to unpack this thing today. You know, deciding to move in a new direction, that decision, that's actually easy. Sticking to it, that's the complicated part. Now, I don't think it has to be complicated.
No.
But, you know, we all do know that those old things come back. So let's take a look at it. Let's address it.
Yeah, well, number one, before we go any further, I want to make sure that we are devoting 5 days next week to this whole thing where you can detox and reboot your energy for the new year and also start doing a 7-minute routine every day called AM Qigong Wake Up and Flow. It's our gift to you. It's totally free.
It's getting rave reviews, by the way. We're getting all kinds of emails from people saying it's so fast, it's so easy. One of the big things people tell us when they join this event is, I don't have a lot of time and I'm lacking motivation. And this knocks both those right out the park.
And you can share that with your friends and family. The reason I wanted to bring that up is that my first point today so absolutely, there are decisions that I have made, and that sounds so big, right?
What, making a decision?
I've decided.
Oh, you've decided.
You got it. Like, for people like me, just lighten the hell up, Sabrina. Like, just lighten up. A decision can just be a little bit of thing. Like, do you want salt or no salt, right? It doesn't have, don't be so heavy on yourself all the time. Everything isn't a big deal. So what, in a very light, playful way, decisions am I making about things I want to do and not do, and things I want to be and not be? Like, there's goal-based and there's identity-based. But I think that one of the reasons that many people don't attain this new version of themselves is because they didn't take the time to create space for it. And by creating space for it, I mean like detoxing and getting rid of the thing that's already there, right? If you want to plant a tulip in the spot where right now there's a string bean, you're going to have to uproot the string bean so that the flower can be there. So I think sometimes we try to put resolutions on top of, like, oh, let me just add this on like a double scoop of ice cream, rather than taking the time to say, well, what am I currently doing and being that doesn't allow this new habit?
That's a big one right there.
And what can I let go of? And here it's Tori method, right? We know that so much of the thoughts are in the body. It's not willpower alone.
Only goes so far.
It's probably not going to cut it. At some point, it's not going to be enough because there's this habit in the whole brain of the being and the body that is pulling you towards what you've done before. That's why it's so easy just to fall back into what we've been, because it's almost like everybody's talking about AI right now. It's almost like AI. The program says, do as you've done before. Don't change.
Yeah. So, hey guys, this topic, obviously, it rumbles through the universe in the beginning of the year. Everyone talks resolutions, and then a lot of people poo-poo them for said reasons. So we just want to, this is the Trisbrina Show, where we check in with you guys in the community, and we share love and stories and insights and different ways for all of us to stay on track. And I think there's been a really great start to the new year. The shows that we've been having, the classes that we've been having, the energy in the community is freaking on fire right now. So there's no Debbie Downer energy going on here. When we're talking about this, we want you guys to just absolutely rock your year and stay on point. So that's why we wanted to put this together, and just like, what can we talk about today that will help you stay on the path, right? So 100% habits, they don't just break, right? Like, we have to be disciplined. We have to stay on track. And what are some of the things that you do, that I do, that you guys do? Please share in the chat if you're joining us live, that have enabled you to change. I think Sabrina really kicked this off with the concept of identity, right? Like, who are we being and who do we need to be in order for this life that we would love to create, right? What needs to take place there?
That old saying, you can't ride two horses. It's almost like you can't have at the same time two habits that conflict with each other.
No.
You can't have the habit of, hey, I'm somebody who moves 3 times a week, at the same time that you have a habit of, I'm someone that doesn't move at all. I'm somebody who wants to move, but things just don't go my way and I never end up doing it. Let's say it more like that.
And you also said to take the space, create the space for this new you to birth itself. And it does require a little bit of breathing room. Otherwise, the mechanisms that are in place are just going to keep on rolling, right?
Yeah.
So how do you take a space?
Well,
what do you do?
Let's say that it's, just as analogy, a garden. Like a vegetable garden. Did you ever grow vegetables?
I did. And I worked in a nursery, and in my Nana's garden in England, we grew carrots and potatoes.
You grew potato. Did you dig them up?
Yes, with a fork.
A
pitchfork.
Okay. Those potatoes were big. He dug them up with a fork.
She had green beans. I picked beans.
Did you string them and snap them?
Yes.
Well, we have so much more in common than I knew.
Isn't that amazing? And there was a long
Mama
thing,
Rita, are you
like
listening?
a carrot, but it was tasted yucky. It was parsnip, maybe.
Parsnip.
Yeah,
they're good.
And she had one more thing. She had Brussels sprouts.
Ooh.
Yeah, they grew in England.
Did they grow above the ground?
Yes. Brussels sprouts are you're testing me. I help garden. I have a little bit of a green thumb.
So both sides of my family had huge gardens, and like almost to the point, like, I don't know if you call it a farm, big gardens. And then we lived 500 miles away, and a couple of summers there was this opportunity that outside of just your yard, you could go and like rent. A bunch of people could rent a certain X amount of footage to grow something. And so we did a lot of cucumbers. I think we did corn. Mama Rita, you can write in the chat. I know that I dug some potatoes.
Potatoes. They say potatoes where she's from.
Potatoes.
You guys say potatoes. You guys, I'm going to fix in some potatoes.
And tomatoes.
Oh, you say tomatoes? You do not. Potatoes, for sure. Taters.
Anyway, my responsibility around the house, I did radishes. I rocked the radishes. Anyway.
Do we have any other gardeners around
if
here?
you know how when you grow vegetables, you grow them in like aisles or rows. You have the vegetable, the path to walk, and the path that you plant in. And there's only so much soil. So when I think about habits, I think about there's this X amount of soil that I want to fertilize and that I want to grow and that I want to pick the outcome from. And that's what I was saying earlier. If I want to plant the desire that I want to move at least 3 times a week for 45 minutes, right? Let's say you're in the dojo. I want to do that. I want to at least 3 times a week either do the same class 3 times or do all of them. That's what I want to do. But maybe there's something already planted in that spot that isn't going to allow that plant to grow. Maybe there's something an idea or concept that says, I'm too busy for that. That's not high on my priority. I've never been that kind of person. I probably never will. So what could be in that spot where you want that new habit to be could be a self-judgment. It is a self-judgment. It is a limiting belief. And it's just a habit of what we've been before. So we kind of have to uproot that one so that we can plant what we do want. So one of the suggestions that I have is when you plant, the new desire, the new thing that you're choosing, plant a plant that's the most likely to grow. So if you've been somebody who, I just don't have time, I really want to, my knees hurt, I don't move, I try to, but it doesn't work out, excuses, valid reasons that we can get to later that you don't move. Don't plant a plant that's called
20 squats a day.
Yeah, 7 days a week for an hour. Don't plant that plant. Get one that's like 3 days a week for 30 minutes. Like plant a plant that is the most likely to grow in the soil that you're putting it in.
This is really important. We had a friend who in the later part of the year told us, I'm going to get my body back in shape, and I've hired a trainer, and I'm going like 5 days a week, and we're going all in. And guess how long it lasted? I don't even know if it lasted a month, because it was too much, too fast, too soon. It didn't have incremental steps, and it started to hurt, and therefore the
Triggered
drive
old
and the
ideas.
desire and triggered old feelings that caused that desire to not be a desire anymore.
Yeah.
So don't jump in the deep end.
Yeah, so they say small steps.
Babies.
Well, the whole thing, like baby steps, you can say baby steps are for babies. So let's
Baby steps.
Let's make intelligent choices for what we want. So incremental steps. So if I didn't move at all and I wanted to do something, I might say, hey, 3 times a week, can I do 30 minutes? 3 times a week, can I do 45 minutes? Like whatever it is for you that you feel that feels like a pretty easy yes. Start with that.
I could give an example.
Do it.
Sabrina coached me recently on releasing weight.
Oh boy. And I really did.
And I'm coachable. So
He asked.
I was like, all right, my weight's creeping up a little bit here. And she's like, because you nibble, snack. And so I was like, okay. Okay. The scale said, let's see, 6 pounds more than it says right now. So Sabrina said,
Which was about 10 pounds more than you like it to be.
I'm still on the path to releasing. But my point is, it wasn't like starve myself kind of a thing. It was still have really delicious food. I'll tell you what, basically we cut the carbs, most of the carbs, cut out the protein bars, the little snacky snack stuff that was happening. We cut out the chips. We cut out the nuts. I tended to grab nuts during the day. We cut out a bunch of stuff.
Just little habits like,
But
hey, I'm going to eat this handful of nuts while I'm cooking my food.
But we replaced them with things like as many vegetables as you want, basically, without a bunch of dressings.
Yep.
Egg whites.
All you can eat.
We had some things in there like squash. There have been, what are some of the other? There's salmon, lettuce, all veggies, right? But I haven't felt deprived in any way. Anyway, the scale is reflecting nicely that this is working. But it wasn't a baby step, but it wasn't also like this big giant leap. Now,
No,
I could
it wasn't rigid.
I could do the big giant leap thing, but it won't become a way of life. I will loop. Have you done that where you're like, okay, I'm going to go all in. I'm going to drop 15, 20 pounds. That's cool, but it's only cool if it lasts, right?
Yep.
Unless you're getting ready for some kind of bodybuilding competition or trying to meet your weight class for grappling. Other than that, you want this to be something that sticks. We said habits that stick. That's the name of this show. So it's got to be fun. It was a little bit of a challenge. It still needs to have a little challenge in it. And it has to line up with my identity.
Yeah.
And my identity is I want to be a good role model, and I want to be healthy. I want to have high vibes and sleep well and all that good stuff.
And so for me, as far as the food thing goes, I'm pretty good at not eating. It's been a long road. I could just talk for days, but at this point in my growth and with who I am and how I see myself and how I see everything about the body and the temple and the love and nutrition, it's not worth it for me. So many foods that trigger an addiction and trigger old things. So I just kind of don't eat them. And I actually have quite a few food allergies, right? That I'm just like, it is not worth it. I'm not eating those 6 things because I don't feel good, even though they taste good. I'm just not eating them.
That requires mindfulness, because there's some things that we're eating, y'all, that you can get away with it, but you don't feel good. And that's an allergy, right? In one way or another, your body's telling you this is not good for you, but we do it anyway.
I'm blessed with big reactions.
But notice the reactions and then feel them and be like, you know what? I deserve better than this reaction. And then you'll probably stop eating or whatever it is.
But what I saw for myself was I'm not eating foods that are, let's say, bad, but I'm not eating enough of foods that are good. Not that I'm not eating enough. I'm eating plenty, but there are foods that are just like kind of like more empty calorie foods.
Like what? What do you eat that's empty?
Just like brown rice, pasta.
I saw you had a little bit of like a white bread thingy that was on the counter.
Yeah.
So empty calories.
And so I said, I just want to eat more vegetables. So what's great is since I put Tristan on his plan.
She's good at giving me a plan.
He's got to make extra vegetables for me.
Which is good. She got a win-win there.
So number 1 was just like small steps, make it doable.
Totally.
Okay, one of my second one, do you want me to go again?
Let me see. Let me throw one in and then you go.
All right.
Another one for me, we're talking about habits that stick, that's really, really, really important, is actually being around other people who have good habits.
I have that one.
They rub off on me.
Support and community.
It's a big deal. Yep. Like being around positive people helps me to feel more positive. Being around people who like to move and exercise inspires me to move and exercise. Being around people who are abundant. These things really make a difference. So that's a big one for me.
Mm-hmm. And then even like as far as our business goes, we'll be at different events where I could feel awkward wanting to make the choices that I want to make. And so in that moment, who am I going to be? Because I never want to be like, oh, I need this special thing, because I never care. There's always enough food. I can always go get my own food. It's never that. But it's almost like this weird peer pressure like they talk about with kids. It gets that way as an adult sometimes with food. Like, oh, don't you want this? Come on, try it. And you know, like, that's not something that I really want to put in my body. So the community, being around a community that says,
pushers,
just do what you want to do. Yeah. Food pushers, whatever it is. Like if you choose not to have alcohol and you're around somebody that's like, come on, have a drink. It's so awkward. So sometimes maybe having a conversation and saying, it's just not a choice for me. I love that you enjoy it, but just so you know, that's not for me.
Because you can just say it doesn't make me feel good.
Yeah.
Or I don't like the way I feel when I do that.
Yeah. I had to tell one of our friends, I'm small. I'm not doing a shot of anything ever.
So there's those non-negotiables where you said peer pressure. I think that's an interesting thing to talk about too, because for me, being around people with good habits just inspires me. Mm-hmm. But if I'm around people with bad habits, I will not be inspired and I will naturally not be there. So for me, that's just a choice to put in front of me things that are like people and things that are like, I like that. It's almost like a reminder.
Yeah.
Right? Like a reminder, like, I want more of that. Mm-hmm. But, and this is a non-negotiable for both of us, we will not be around negative people. We will not be around people who are doing bad things to themselves or the body or the planet. It's non-negotiable. No. So I think that's a thing to like really...
We love them.
We love them from a distance. Seriously, like if you feel peer pressure or manipulated or guilted into doing something, either stand up and have that non-negotiable and be like, I choose to be around you because I love you, but I'm not doing that. Like have that much love, respect, and loyalty to yourself and your body temple and your soul, and still maintain those friendships. Great. Mm-hmm. But I have to have that discipline for myself. Yeah. It's not even a discipline anymore. I don't want it. But I choose to love you, and I
Yeah.
can hang out with you, but I'm not doing it, whatever
Yeah.
it is.
And sometimes if you just have compassion, if you're spending time with someone and you feel like they're kind of trying to pressure you to eat this, do this, drink that, it's because the part of them feels guilty about it.
Yeah, you can extend the love.
And if you do it, then they'll feel less guilty. And just to be compassionate, because we've all been there in one way or another.
Okay.
Okay, I'm moving on.
Love and light.
So the other thing, as far as when you're making these decisions of new things that you want to do and be, is to kind of know your old excuses. Know those habits that you always do and kind of know those tricks. Know how in the past I have set myself up to be able to not achieve and change. So for example, if the new habit was that I want to wake up 20 minutes earlier. I want to wake up 20 minutes earlier, so I have 5 minutes to get out of the groggy and 15 minutes to breathe and be. And maybe the old habit and the old trick and the old excuse is, oh, I'm not sleepy. I'm not sleepy. I'm going to watch this one more thing. I'm going to do this one more thing. I'm going to get on the computer and do this thing. Just be aware that human nature is going to encourage you to do what you've done before, because that's what feels comfortable. And that's why having a new habit or a new pattern, there's an awkwardness for a while. So sometimes you have to say in that moment, like we've been doing lately, because we've been trying to go to bed a little earlier, which has been delightful, is, oh man, but I wanted to. It's my treat. My treat is to check this thing. My treat is to do this thing. My treat is to watch this thing. And to realize, no, my treat is to have more rest so that I can have that meditation in the morning. So just kind of notice how my own personal excuses and habits that have kept me from making shifts that I truly want to make at this point.
And I'll tag on to the back of that. Keyword, consequence. If you're smart, you'll future pace the consequence. So I know that in all of us, there's a guidance system that knows what we should and shouldn't do if we're listening to it. You have that much intelligence. I mean, there's no question. When you open the refrigerator door, since we tend to be on the food topic, you have enough intelligence to know whether or not you should have your head stuck in there. Okay? And most likely, you have the intelligence to know whether or not there's something in there that your body could use right now or not, right? That's just an intelligence. Then there's the next level, which is consequence. So if I actually take this action, what will the outcome be? Future pace. Go to the end of the road and ask yourself, will this be a choice that I'll be really glad that I did it?
Yeah.
Or will I not feel so good? And that's a really beautiful moment if you have the wherewithal to make a choice, a conscious choice. So you have to have first the ability to catch the action. Oh, I'm about to take this action. A lot of times it's after it happened. Whoa, I don't know what happened. I went into hypnosis mode and I ate a bucket of ice cream. Oopsie.
Done it. Oops. Oops.
Consequence.
I did
Oops,
it again.
I did it. Right? Or you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, one too many glasses of that lovely Pinot Grigio, right? And you're like, oh, and I got a busy day ahead, and why did I do it? But you could have caught it. You could have caught it. You have the intelligence. And that's a huge part about getting habits to stick.
Yep.
Because if you fall down too many times, a saboteur takes over. And that part of yourself, see, I can't do it. And you erode your confidence, and you erode your willpower, and you erode your belief in yourself. Too many times creates a very limiting belief and creates a different type of personality who doesn't follow through with the goals and dreams that you know are right for you. So it is actually really, really important that we make a decision and we stick to it. Not a heavy, but it's actually really important for your identity to build and shift and change.
To trust yourself.
To become the human that you so love, respect, and how about revere? What if you revered your identity so much, like you could almost bow down to the essence of who and what you are, and you're like, I really love you. And you're talking to that soul's part of yourself, you look in the mirror and you go, like, thank you for taking care of me. Like, what if you had that kind of relationship? Thank you so much for taking such good care of me and for attracting so much beauty and abundance into my. Thank you. I'm going to follow this.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. All right.
All right.
Here's another one. Prepare to succeed. So what would that mean in a tactical way? Preparing to succeed might be, when I am hungry, I'm going to eat what's there. Right? I'm going to make do, because I'm not a foodie. I'm just going to make do. So to prepare to succeed, if I was going to, we're kind of talking about the diet stuff just as an example, I'm going to make sure that there's food in the refrigerator and in the pantry that I would want to eat. If I wanted to move my body more, and I'm going to work, I'm going to make sure my sneakers and my workout gear's in the car. If I want to do something virtually, I'm going to make sure my charger is with me so my device can't go down. And I might invest in a program, right? If I want to succeed, I might sign up for something that says, hey, here's 3 classes a week. You can do them at any time. Kind of like our dojo, like register for something, prepare. Don't just say, we can't just say like, oh, all of a sudden I'm just going to like spontaneously move 3 times a week, because how will that happen? You have to prepare for it. You have to decide for it. And in a way, you have to make a plan. I'm going to prepare for it by doing X, Y, Z. And that's kind of fun, because what it does is, in the preparation for it, you're already changing your brain. Because that's all this is. It's changing your brain. It's by changing your brain, it changes your identity, it changes your habits, it changes your subconscious mind. So by preparing to succeed, you're already changing your neural networks to be somebody that does these other things.
It's like what you expect, you get. You get what you expect.
Yep.
I love the consequence component that came up. And I'm just thinking of things that have really worked for me. I think about a habit as something that is almost automated, that I bake it into who I am. It's part of my identity. These are the types of things that I just do. It's what this personality does. This is the way I think. This is the way I live. This is the way I move through my world. It's become who I am. So a habit is who you are. It becomes your belief. It becomes your whole identity. For me, the most powerful way to stay true to my habit isn't just the discipline or the consequence. It's 100% why I'm doing it. And I sit with my why quite a bit. And I am very driven human being, because my why is usually pretty powerful. So my why with this Satori method, there's 3 reasons that I think 4 actually. And so I'm sharing this just because you can apply it to anything. Number 1 is, I love this woman.
Oh, I was hoping I'd be number 1.
And I made a pact with her when we were younger that we were going to walk on a path of love and service, and that I would be there for her 100%. And we did this thing called marriage. And if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to be all in. I'm going to provide and show up as the man. And so this has been a huge driving force for me, is to show up fully for my sweetheart. Then there's, and this is all the same thing, but just different manifestations of it. There's my connection to God. Sabrina's my excuse to love God in the way that I love her, God through her. But then there's something that's been given in this life, which is the desire for consciousness, the desire to be awake, the desire to love unconditionally. And that's the method that we teach. And so I made a deal with God. That's what I'm going to do. That's a big why, man. I'm not going to forsake that why.
No.
Because I've tasted that connection.
Can't go back on that.
And then that started to manifest, and then you guys showed up. You're an extension of my why. How could I not stay on the path? We love you guys so much. You're an extension of this whole thing. I would never forsake you.
I will never.
Never, never. And those are 3 big ones. And then I have the why for Tristan, which is all the same. But I really, like I said earlier, when you can look at yourself and you can see yourself almost third party and go, I really like that guy. I really like who you are. I do it for Tristan. I became almost the spiritual parent to myself. My parents are no longer in their physical body. So yes, I have Sabrina and her family, and I have my direct connect, but I actually feel like I'm a parent to the little Tristan inside, and I love him so much that I do it for him too. What if you could love yourself that much you became a spiritual parent to yourself? So for me, the why creates an unstoppable energy. How are you not going to stay on track when your why is the why that makes you cry?
Yeah.
So I would keep unpacking that, because nothing in my world that I can think of beats that. You can come up with the psychological strategies and they're great, but the why blows it all the way. Okay.
Okay, well, I have more psychological stuff.
You need them. You need those too. You need them all. The power of love.
My next one is, and this was like this maybe numero uno for Sensei Sabrina. Don't beat yourself up. Mm-hmm. Right? So I'll give you some examples when the decades that I struggled with self-hatred in the form of eating disorder and promising to stop hurting my body in the ways that I was with the eating disorder, whether it was starving it or compulsive overeating or laxatives or vomiting, bulimia, anorexia, enemas, whatever it was, just way too many, would be that I would be so hard on myself that if I had decided, resolved, chosen to not be that, and I slipped, let's say I ate a cookie, I would just be, that would be my screw it. And I would just go on a crazy binge. I would go on a crazy binge and self-hatred and purge and hate myself and hurt my body, damage my body, hate myself some more, see that I was a failure, judge myself for not being strong enough. But I would use that one little slip up. It's very sneaky, right? Because now who I am would be like, you were going to give up sugar for a week and just ate a cookie, silly Willy. No more, right? And they'd be over, right? That's kind of the way I am now. Like, oops, I ate a cookie.
Oops, I ate it again. We need that on a loop.
But before, it was so heavy. It was so heavy, and it was like this black and white. Like there is success, and there is being who I want to be, or I am this failure, I am this dark thing that's never going to attain what I want, and I'm stuck in this addiction and I can't get out. And it's so dark, so heavy, so much anxiety. If anyone has struggled with being addicted to anything, whether it's a substance or a thought or a belief, you know how addictive the addiction is. And so I would say, like,
addicted to the addiction.
Yeah, to be light about it. And if you say you're going to move 3 times a week and you move twice a week, just be like, hey, you moved twice. 2 out of 3 ain't bad, baby. Let's do 3 next week. Better than most people. Whatever you have to say to make that happen, to stay light about it, to stay in the new identity. See, because the new identity, I'm just using the example of somebody who wants to move 3 times a week, that person would be light about it. I've moved 3 times a week for 3 decades. I missed one. So what? I'll do 4 next week. No biggie. That would be their identity. But the identity of the old creeping in to this person who has said, I'm going to move 3 days a week, is going to say, you ducked up. I knew you would. You don't have it in you. You're always going to create that. It's unrealistic. You don't have what it takes. Well, it's just going to be this whole other bunch of garbage, these old thoughts, these old excuses that have nothing to do with you. They're just things that maybe I thought before. So when you slip, be in the new identity that takes it easy, right? There's no rush to the finish line. I'm going to have a spoiler alert here. You are an eternal being. There is no finish line.
Wait, hold up. Come on. Really? Eternal?
You are an eternal being. There is no finish line.
This is too much. I can't take it.
Right? What is the chase? What is the rushing to get it all in order by this deadline? Right? Stay light and playful. If there was a finish line, you'd get there a lot faster. So that has been the secret to all my success, is learning to be light about the oopsies. To be the new identity when judging
that light part is so
I did it
important.
again.
That's huge. Because if you can't get around that, you'll go back to the other.
Yep, immediately.
I'll drop my last one. The why is full on, probably the most powerful for me. Knowing what I don't want is really important. And so sometimes it's just acid testing. You got to go try stuff. I can't guess. I actually need feedback. So I have to do stuff and then I know more. So the feedback is huge for me. But I think this whole thing, last point, is it boils down to attention. It boils down to what I choose to focus on. Kind of like what you're saying, right? Like about the habit, and then it comes back, and like you could beat yourself up or you could stay light about it. That's an attention choice.
Yeah.
So it's a focus, it's an attention, because you have a certain amount of energy and you're going to spend it how you're going to spend it. So you can spend it beating yourself up, or you can spend it on lifting yourself up. You can spend it focusing on who you want to be or who you're bummed out that you think you are. And you can judge the crap out of yourself, and you can loop in your habit, and you can process it, and you can do all the things, right? How many times do you need to process the same thing? Oh, my trigger, I got my trigger.
Yep.
Like,
and
okay,
fight for it. You fight for the right.
I get it. And this is a big part of personal development, but we have to kind of un-PD PD stands for personal development. You got to un-PD yourself and just shift focus. So like if you do 10 things and you screw 9 of them up, but one's really awesome.
Yep.
Which one are you going to focus on? Most people are going to focus for the rest of their life on the 9 that they screwed up. But if you just focused on the one that was rad, guess what? Next time it'll be 2, 3, 4.
Yep.
What if you do 9 things really, really well? Really good. You're pretty freaking good. And you screw one up.
Big time.
What's the tendency of that egoic self? It's going to focus on that one thing. And then you have this natural propensity for greatness, and you'll destroy it by focusing on the one thing, or that one thing that happened back when, and it keeps triggering you. Just can focus on the 9 or the 4 or the 1. Just it's an attention situation.
Yeah.
It's what you're focusing your energy on. That's what's going to expand. So make a pact with yourself that I'm only going to focus on what's good. Now, people are going to tell you you're a dreamer. Oh, you're not in reality.
What they may say I'm a dreamer.
For real. Like, just be perpetually, incessantly focused on all that is good.
Well,
just do it. And don't worry about the drama and the detractors and all the naysayers and all the crap in your head. Like, if you want to crush this thing, just focus on what's good and let it grow, let it grow, let it grow.
Yeah. So maybe you could think that you have a yellow highlighter. If you've ever had to study something and you're like, oh, I got to remember this, and you take out that yellow highlighter and you highlight that. Or if you're on the computer, you bold it, you italicize it, and you underline it. What are you highlighting? You know, if you want to shift into a new identity, like a more growth-based version of yourself, a better version of yourself, probably just a more true version of yourself. Highlight that which is good.
Yeah.
Underline what's good.
Underline
Italicize. don't do anything to the other. Don't erase it. Don't bold it. Don't read it on repeat.
Don't feed it.
Don't talk about it. Yeah.
Don't feed the black wolf.
Highlight what you do want. Highlight what you love. I really, really so much appreciate in the chat when, especially some of the women, acknowledge me in saying that I very openly share about something that I had shame about for a long time. For a long time, I had big secrets from my closest friends, from all my family, about what I was doing to myself, what I was thinking, this facade. I can openly speak about it because I don't feel any shame, because I don't shame. It's just a thought. It was just a thought. It was just a bunch of thoughts that I thought were real, that were causing me to do these things. It was a misunderstanding of how I could be deserving of love. I always tell that story that one of my therapists told me when I told him I was smoking a cigarette, and he said, my inclination is good. You want to break, and you want to breathe in, and you want to breathe out.
You made me breathe.
And just want to get away from everybody for a second. So the inclination for that cigarette is right on. You just don't need the cigarette. You're actually allowed to do that without it. And that's what, when I look back at so many of the habits and things that I did, the inclination was a hunger for love and a hunger for approval and a hunger to be what I thought I needed to be loved. It was looking for some kind of perfection in the outside because I didn't know it was about perfection on the inside. So I don't have any shame at all, which is just a miracle because I did for so long, about the choices that I made, because my intention was always, I just wanted to know who I was. I just wanted to be good. I just wanted to be good. I just wanted to be the best I could be. And I just wanted to I'm gonna say, like, approve of myself. I wanted to love myself. I wanted to reflect back. Good job. Good job. Good job.
Good job.
Good job.
I'm proud of you. I've seen the struggles. I've heard the morning stories and feelings that have shown up over the last 30 plus years that I've known you.
Mm-hmm.
And you've used everything to grow and to share. And you've turned it into blessings.
Oh, so
from bummers
different.
To blessings.
So, my goodness, it's so
amazing.
Different. The conversations that go on in my head are unfathomable to the person that was there before. It's a miracle.
It's a miracle.
It's a miracle. And it's what we talked about. It's everything that was shared tonight. It's just really loving ourselves enough to let ourselves be more. Because it's just a thought. It was just a bunch of thoughts. It was just a bunch of limited beliefs. It was just a bunch of programs that I was believing so strongly about what other people thought of me and about what I thought I needed to be for other people that were causing me to harm myself. And not anymore.
Hey, here's my last tip. Listen to conversations like this one.
Yes.
When you're feeling down, listen to something inspirational. Listen to stories of other people who had similar situations to you and had breakthroughs.
Yes.
Stay inspired, right? And take action, inspired action. Because it's the action that causes you to own it. Belief is one thing, but then taking an inspired action and being like, oh no, I am this person. I actually walk that talk. Then you know. And that's the coolest thing, is when you know here and you know here, but you also know in your body. Your body has a mind of its own. I don't think you need to get out of your body and pull your mind out of your body. I think what you need to do is upgrade the intelligence of the mind within the body, allow it to become conscious, because now you have full coherence.
Yeah.
Mind, heart, body. It's beautiful. Awesome. Thanks, guys. We've been reading your chats all along. I've been going in and peppering some loves and likes when I can, but you help inspire the unfoldment of the show with your contributions. So please know that we're reading them off to the side and we're feeling you, and we really appreciate you. You know, we do
We'll
these
go back
shows.
and read them later too.
We do these shows for the community. You know, it's date night, and we feel like we have date night with you guys. So
what's so awesome is that, you know, so one person shares their thoughts and feelings, and so many other people are like, yeah. There's just a oneness here. There's a oneness that we're all going through what we're going through and achieving what we're achieving and struggling with what we're struggling with just different colors and hues. There's never anything bad happening. There's never any big deal. There's only song and love.
And dancing. And dogs. No
we
dogs
gotta get
tonight. Yeah, just do it without this. That's our screenshot. All right. Much love. Thank you again.
Hey, Debbie.